She just like starts when we do this.
I feel like that was a good intro, though. I feel like all of that needs to be included.
It's all included. It's all included for Staniel
It's
and
an
Manuel's
all-inclusive
benefit.
package.
What's up, everybody? Mike Frank and Christian Olson back again.
Hello, hello.
What's up? What's up? We were
What's going
talking about, I don't even know how we got onto the topic of burning DVDs.
It was Polar Express.
Polar Express.
Mike has never seen that movie.
Okay,
He's
but
seen every other movie out there in the world.
It's also not a Disney movie.
That doesn't matter.
Polar Express.
It doesn't matter. You quote like a million movies and they're not all Disney.
I don't know. I don't even know what it is. It's
That's cap, bro. That's all cap.
Tom Hanks.
Musical fantasy film.
Okay, that's kind of that's weird. It's just a Christmas movie.
Allegedly. That was where the whole conversation started. It's a Warner Brothers movie. I have never seen
I forget
this movie.
how
I don't
it
know what to tell
started.
you.
It was Polar Express. How do we get to Polar Express? Oh,
Christmas
the way that I'm
movies.
dressed.
Hot chocolate.
And the little train conductor whistle.
And the
'cause I
train
look like a
conductor
train
whistle.
conductor.
Right. Oh, I said you should get a chain, and then you said a stopwatch, and then John made fun of you for the stopwatch, and then I said whistle, or maybe he did.
Stopwatch, pocket watch. Really, what's the difference? You
What's
could do
the
the same
difference?
thing on both.
Oh my gosh. The irony. Spinning it back to real estate, talking about timing. I was talking on the show today about timing your real estate sale, and people always talk about timing the market in the spring and wanting to make sure that we sell for top dollar and blah, 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 blah. And it's like they're not the same thing, right? To sell in a different market. It's similar, but it's not the same.
It's never the same.
It's never the same.
Well, you're also looking at it from a seller's
Stopwatch,
point of
pocket
view.
watch, not the same thing. Similar, but not the same.
That was very good. You're talking about selling, but what about buying?
Not the same.
It's never the same.
The key is, and this is something that like when I first heard this when I was younger, somebody said, oh, you want to sell in the winter. And I was like, why? You know, like I've always heard people say sell in the spring. You want to sell in the winter because motivated buyers come out in the winter. And then it made me think like, oh, well, I guess motivated sellers come out in the winter. Like people that really want to sell and people that really want to buy come out in the winter. And then
When
I
you say
started,
really want to or like have to.
it could be either.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're motivated, right?
Yeah.
Don't confuse motivated with like, I'm going to give my house away. I fucking hate buyers. Come on. And they're like, they're motivated. Can we offer $20,000 less? I mean, you can, but the house came on the market 4.5 minutes
But also,
ago.
okay,
And
that's
there's
true.
another
That's
person
true.
walking in the front door. It's across the street from me and I can see it happening.
That's
and they're
true.
like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to offer price on this. And the sellers are motivated.
But like
Bleh.
the way that I'm not one to, I can't read into the future, right? Like no one can. But what
Not
I would,
even through your Polar Express.
I mean, maybe.
Beep. Anyway.
I can say I've been on the nice list this year. I can.
My God. You know, I'm not
Live
even gonna go
is
down
like.
that road.
Can I delete you from the podcast?
Can I
You know what? I didn't like that comment either.
Excommunicated. No microphone.
You know, I didn't like that either. Let's cut that out. Okay, future. So the market later on this year, I'm predicting like the same thing as last year. Some of my clients wanted to purchase a home. There's not as many buyers in the market. However, they are motivated ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there is some more room for like negotiation or like advantages to take a 2-to-1 buy down on a property that you'll buy. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I want to say it in a different way, as usual, right? What I want to say is I want to say that there's more opportunity to work together.
That's great. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
in the spring, there's so many buyers and there's so many sellers and there's so much competition. And you would think that, oh, well, there's more people. But the problem is that everyone wants the same house.
Yep.
So 17 buyers come out for that property. In the winter, maybe only 2.
Yeah.
And the seller only has one house to sell, so they only need one buyer. But what I'm trying to get at here is, let's say the house comes on the market for $765 and your buyer comes in, what are they going to offer?
$770.
$770, a very fair price. We're not blowing it out of the water. Nobody's offering $840 anymore. Not true, but situationally, they're going to offer $770. And in the spring, somebody offers $772, and the sellers are like, well, I mean, we'll just take the highest price.
I would
Right?
argue they offer $775.
Right. or different, right? But in the winter, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh, well, this one's offering 772 or 775. This one's offering 770. This one's a conventional loan. This one's a VA loan. This one has inspection. This one has no inspection. And so then the seller has the opportunity to come back and say, well, hey, I understand that you're looking to settle in the end of October. Would you allow us to rent back or stay longer or extend the date of settlement? And then the buyer is like working with the seller because it's less of like this forced obligation,
like pressure
for the seller to like pick one.
Yeah.
Because there's not as much happening.
I would agree.
I think that's the cool thing. And as you mentioned, 2-1 buy down, totally true. It's a benefit for the buyer. It's a benefit for the seller. And as long as the appraisal value matches, we're all happy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like the way that you worded that, more opportunity to work together on those things. Because again, in the spring, you're up against 17 other offers. And do you really have the opportunity to talk to the agent and be like, hey, we might be able to do this. We can work something out. Like, give us some feedback here and let's get this thing to the table. So we're at the spring, it's like, all right, we've got 17 offers. You're picking one.
Well, and lest we forget, back in 2019, 2016, maybe we didn't have 17 offers. Maybe that was a COVID thing. But we had 17 buyers looking at the property, 17 active, focused people that were interested. And in December, there's not 17. There's just not as many buyers in the market. They're still out there, and motivated buyers come out in the winter. Motivated sellers come out in the winter. It's just fewer of them at once, right? Like, let's just say hypothetically, in your community or your greater community in the spring, there's going to be 350 houses that hit the market. And in the winter, maybe there's only going to be 75.
Yeah.
But in the spring, there's going to be 1,200 buyers. And in the winter, there's only going to be, 190.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Easy math.
Yeah. You were asking a question.
Was I?
I don't know.
I don't think I was. You just said I was.
Anyway.
You're weird.
But yeah, I mean, I think that there's opportunity where people don't see it because they're sort of like blinded by the public conception of what timing in real estate means.
Yeah. And I also think that they won't like be open to other ideas, right? Like the amount of people that I was working with last time this year, maybe even a little bit later in the year, that were like actively looking in the market and they're like, oh no, we're going to put it off till spring. I was like, what do you mean? This property has no offers. You can get exactly what you want and like be able to negotiate a little bit or have the opportunity to work together. And they're like, no, we'll revisit in spring. We revisit in the spring. They're up against 15 offers, 10 offers, 7 offers instead of maybe 1 or 2. We're just up against themselves.
Even as you mentioned, like being open to the conversation. What about the buyers that were thinking about buying last year and then they didn't, and then the interest rates went up, and then they didn't, and now they're here again, and they're like, what about the conversation with your real estate agent? And I'm not saying buy now. I'm not the one that's sitting here saying you should buy today. I mean, you should, but what I'm saying is, are you having a conversation with your agent that goes something like this? Hey, I don't want to buy today. I want to push it off to the spring because I'm focused on my family, my life, my livelihood, my job, my promotion, my whatever. And then the agent says, that makes a lot of sense. Here's 5 reasons why you should do that. Just want to make sure that you think about the one reason why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then you go, yeah, no, that's a good point. Thank you for pointing it out.
Yeah.
Right. And then in the spring, the agent says, all right, value assessment. Let's go back and let's look and let's create a benchmark today. Here's where we were. The 5 reasons that you didn't want to buy in the winter. It looks like 3 of them proliferated and came true. Now, the one reason that you should have bought last winter, let's just say it's price or interest rate or whatever, are we higher? Are we lower? Are we trending in a better direction or a wrong direction? And are you as a buyer, seller, client willing to accept that information?
Yeah.
That, I think, is where we're going wrong.
Yeah. The acceptance, I think, is a big part of it.
For sure.
A big part of it. And I like the way that you word a lot of things, and I don't really know how else to word this, but I feel like people forget, like, this is our job.
Right.
Like, we know these things. And, like, we're not here to push you one way or the other. I always come to people and I lay everything out on the table. I play devil's advocate. I'm the biggest supporter as well. And people need to understand the whole scope of things and make it more of a conversation instead of like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. Well, like, hey, what are you working on? Tell me. And okay, great. Like you said, those are 5 good reasons why you should push it off till the spring.
Right.
And then here's one other reason maybe why you consider today. People aren't open to having that conversation. They're so stuck in their way. I got on a buyer consultation the other day, and I was like,
before or after the trolley tour?
before.
Okay.
Meeting with a client. He wanted to sell his home. He wanted to move into a more one-level home. He has like a 2-car garage, colonial brick type of house, like the ones you see all around here. And I hop on there and I'm like, hey, thanks for chatting the other day. Before we go into what you're looking for in your home search, tell me a little bit more about yourself. He's like, oh, we're about to retire. We're looking for a one-level home, and kind of stopped it at that. He's like, hey, I got a question for you. Let me ask, are rates still at 6.5 to or like even over 7%? I'm like, yeah, we've been seeing them bounce back and forth. He's like, oh, we can end this conversation here. Just send me some homes, and I think we're just going to put this off. And I was like, well, like, we need to identify what you're looking for, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, we're just going to end the conversation. Thanks, bye. And literally got off of the Zoom call,
Right.
hung up on me, and I'm like, you're not going to buy a house.
Right.
You're never going to buy a house. You want on the phone, he expressed to me like, hey, we're retiring. We really wanted to get a new property before we retire. One level. We just have this huge colonial home that's too much space for us. And then literally first thing he asked, like on Zoom, what are rates? And then hung up and got off. It's like, hey, let's have a conversation. Like, I do this for a living. I want to be able to help
Right.
you out through whatever it is, whether it's a year from now or a month from now, 3 months from now. Like, you need to be in the know, sir. Like,
So
you're
it's-
sell a $700,000 house.
It's funny. We hosted an event last weekend with Baltimore City, Live Baltimore nonprofit organization. They run a fantastic event, tons of resources. If you haven't already, get on their website, donate, support, volunteer. Live Baltimore is an amazing organization.
It's awesome.
We had the opportunity to teach 2 classes in the day. I think we had about 75, maybe 80 people come through the classes, and it was the opportunity to sit down and explain to them 10 homebuyer mistakes, right? 10 things that people mistake. And one of the top ones is not talking to enough realtors, not talking to enough lenders, not aggregating enough information, and not really like thinking about the neighborhood, the property, the expected expenses, so on and so forth. But it's interesting because my perspective on all of this is not so much like, oh, you have to talk to more than one realtor or you have to consult with more than one lender. What if you consulted with one person that you trusted and then you had the conversation with that person and you said, hey, I feel like this. I feel like interest rates are really high. Can you help me understand how we're going to benefit from buying today or holding off, or what the pros and the cons are? And if you meet with one agent and you don't like it, you meet with 2 lenders and you don't like them, meet with a third, meet with a fourth. But if you meet with the right person the first time and you have that conversation and it feels good, it's okay.
It's kind of like a just date.
It is like a date. It's really honestly like sometimes you hit it off with somebody and you vibe with them and you're about it. But if you're about it, then you need to be about it. You need to be willing to accept the information that they're giving you.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, find another agent. Don't just hang up the phone.
That's okay.
It's like
That's life.
it's honestly the most frustrating
same thing
is,
with, like,
people don't listen.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like a doctor or a dentist or whoever the hell you want to work with, like a daycare that you're bringing your school, like your
Right.
kids to school for, right?
Right.
If you don't like it, it's okay. Just find a new one, but you don't know until you try. You won't know until you have a conversation.
Yeah, and like some of the things that I think about, like my mom and the things that she did for us, it was always about having that conversation and like, oh, I didn't like these people. I didn't like this one thing. I didn't like this other thing. And an example of just something really, really silly. One time I complained to my mom that my brother stole my wallet. Right. It was this cute little like Velcro wallet. It had like, color glue with glitter, whatever. It was my wallet. And I said something that my brother stole my wallet. My mom said, no, he didn't. My brother said he didn't, whatever. My mom had this like sneaky suspicion that maybe the cleaners had done it. And it was one of those things that like, you don't want to just jump out and assume, but at the same time, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So you don't just fire them. You don't just get off that Zoom call, but maybe you test them. Maybe you put out a question. Maybe you put out the opportunity for them to succeed or fail, and then you move forward, right? One of my first listings, the listing was a very good friend of mine. And I remember saying to him, it was my first listing. Why am I saying one of mine? I remember saying to him, hey, can I list your wife's property? And he was like, well, you have to talk to her about that. I was like, damn it. And then I sat down and talked to her, and she said, oh, I'm interviewing another agent. The other agent's the one that sold me the home, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, well, I would appreciate the opportunity to apply for the job to represent you. I was like, ha, 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 right? Because someone told me to say it, so I did. I went, sat down in their kitchen, talked to them about the house, walked through whatever, like I didn't know it. And then, asked them some pointed questions. And I said, what questions do you have for me? How will you know you have the right realtor to represent you? And she asked me all kinds of questions. I thought, I did a really good job, but like, God, how is she going to ever decide? I'm probably not going to get the job because she's going to work with the agent that she trusts, the one that sold her the house in the first place. Like, she's not going to work with me. Well, she calls me back the next day to ask for a clarification question. And I had the answer for her. I pulled it up. I got the information and verified that my answer was in fact correct. Later, she hired me because that was the information that was correct versus her other agent didn't have that piece of information. It was incredibly important, ironically, to their timing. It was important to their structure for what they were trying to do, list right around now. And it was that piece of information that differentiated two agents. Rather than her coming with the preconceived notion, with the understanding of like, if interest rates are high, I'm not going to buy. Yeah. What if you came in and you said, hey, realtor number one, interest rates are kind of high right now. What does that look like for me? Should I be waiting? Should I be putting my house on the market today? Should I be pushing it out to the spring? Is there a way that we can leverage? This was a conversation I had yesterday. Interest rates suck. You have a property today. Why don't we use that property as leverage to defray the interest rate? They're like, oh, buy down the rate. And I went, well, that's one option, right? Using the equity to buy down the rate. But the other option would be your current mortgage is what? $1,500? Okay. Your new mortgage definitely going to be higher. And they were like, I said, what are we thinking? Like 27, 2,800?
Yeah.
Maybe. I really don't want to go over 3,000. Okay. So like 3,000 is your max. But what if the perfect property came along? Is $2,850. That's still a lot of money compared to your $1,500 that you have today. Well, what if we rented your property and we started looking at the equitable position of down payment options without using the equity that she has in her current property? What if we looked at the cash flow options to defray the higher monthly payment to make her feel more comfortable with the costs and expenses associated with the property? What if we looked at making the property prepared to rent in the future so that this big expense didn't come down the road, but we defrayed it over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. So when she's ready to buy or sell in the next 12 to 18 months, it's more of a preparation. It's the conversation, not the question answer. Yeah. Right? Like question, are interest rates high? Answer, yes. Right? Like, I don't think I'll ever say interest rates are low again. Interest rates are going to go down to like 5.25 in like 2017, or I'm sorry, 2070. And I'm going to be like 5.25. They're like, oh my God, they're so low. I'm like, oh my God, they're so high. Do you remember when we refinanced for 5.2% back when I was 19?
They're going to be talking about those COVID rates for so long.
Well, and the biggest problem is that people are going to be talking about COVID rates as though it's something that they have.
Well, and normal.
Yeah, like it's something that they deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, God, go back to that. The deserve, right? The well-being of America. Yeah. But like, we don't deserve shit. We deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the
Here's
current
something
market.
that kind of ties into it, and maybe we can talk about
I'm gonna go away.
Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe, I don't know. So everyone's like, oh my God, I want to see what rates do. It's an election year. They could go down, blah, 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 right? Like, I met with a gentleman this week that said the same thing. Do you see, or like maybe how could rates come down with it being an election year? Do you think like a president could come in and say, hey, we're going to get the rates down to help him get the votes he needs to become president? Like, is that something that you could see happening?
I want to present you with an option.
Okay.
We're going to go away on vacation.
Okay.
We're going to go to the best beach in the world.
I love beaches.
Most beautiful place in the world. Sandy beach between your toes, little, crabs walking across the sand, people, all drinks. Beautiful things, drinks and everything, photo ops and piers and boats and all the things, right?
Okay, great.
Okay, cool. We're going to go. It's going to be amazing. It's going to only cost this much. This is the right time, the seasonality of it, blah, 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 right? And then something dramatic happens in the world, like what's going on right now. Yeah. And it fucks with your flight schedule. It fucks with your ability to get to your destination. Okay. Are you no longer going to have fun because you can't be there? You just allowed the outside influences to impact your, I wish we were there, but now I'm miserable. Or like, I wish we were there. I'm so thankful that we're alive. Right. Like, I feel like people look at these opportunities and they say, well, what's going to cause interest rates to go down? Well, what's going to cause interest rates to go down is the inflation numbers to go down and the job market to go up and blah, 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 right? Right. But then if you're just like waiting, well, the job market's going to change when the new, presidency comes in, the inflation numbers are going to change when the Democrats have control of the House. The U.S. economy is going to be boosted when we have more global support from our support in the Middle East and blah, 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 right? You're like, oh, these are the things that are going to happen. What happens when they don't happen? We're like planning for this perfect little beach vacation, and something changes, and all of a sudden it ruins our entire life. And I'm not going to buy a house anymore because the interest rate's high. Like, it doesn't even make sense. If the interest rate comes down, the price is going to go up. So if you buy today and the interest rate goes down, you bought at a lower price, you could sell tomorrow for a profit, or you could refinance to the lower interest rate. It just doesn't even make sense. The whole logic annoys me. It does impact your ability to make a decision, but it should not dictate the decision that you make.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel like people are relying on so much of the unknown. Or like banking on it, right? Like, oh, what's this president going to do? What's Biden going to do in the last little bit of his presidency to get rates down? Or like, what is the? Why am I blank on the name? The fucking bank.
Enron.
The Fed. What is the Fed going to do in the next 6 to 12 months to get rates down? When we were at Tom Ferry, who was the gentleman that came on stage? Was it Realtor.com, the CEO there?
Yes.
And he said he was chatting with some people.
Oh no, that was Steve Harney,
CRM,
KCM, Keeping Current Matters.
Yes, I said CRM.
And he says he sat there, and big dude, retired, came out of retirement to talk to us on stage. He's like, "I'm gonna sit down. Y'all good with that?" Like, he didn't want to do it, and he sat there and he said, what did he say? He said, I talked to the CEO of Bank of America.
Yeah.
I talked to the director of Fed Treasury,
I think
whatever.
He even talked to people that like run Zillow and all these big like real estate companies. And they all came together like, hey, do you know what's going to go on the market? Do you know what's going to go on the market? And these are like the top 1% in the real estate industry. Like, they know the shit. They run the companies. Right. You know what their answer was? They don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't fucking know. They have no idea what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months.
Right. And then you, as Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, seller, whatever, make your entire life decision, your biggest investment ever, off of the idea that you're going to create the right, you're going to bet on the right team.
Yeah.
I mean, Ravens lost yesterday. Orioles lost yesterday. How many people in the world, this is a world, not just Baltimore, how many people in the world would have bet that both Baltimore teams would have lost yesterday? I bet you if you bet that $100, you would have won a dick ton of money. Sorry for cursing. Like, that would have been an unimaginable scenario.
Yeah.
Orioles in the second game of the series, down 1-0 at home in a pivotal, series clash, blah, 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 blah. The Ravens playing against their, arch rival, their much better team, much more skilled. Like, they both should have won yesterday.
Yeah.
If you were willing to bet your life savings, your $300,000, $700,000, $900,000 house on this, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And yet, that's what we do every single day.
Dude, I feel like this is fucking fire right now.
Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I had a really good thought and then I forgot it. But it's like, to me, I can't comprehend the ideology that I'm going to bank on lower interest rates.
Yeah.
I have a seller who I met years and years and years ago at the trolley tour, actually. And he threw his friend under the bus. He's like, hey, don't tell him I told you to, but here's his phone number. Here's his name. Going through a divorce. He needs a realtor. Call him. And I was like, well, what do I say? Like, if I can't say you, like, am I just some random person calling? He's like, well, I guess you could tell him that I told you to call him, but don't tell him he's going through a divorce. I was like, okay. So I called this guy and he's like, who's this? I was like, it's Mike. Chris told me to give you a call. He was thinking about selling his house and he told me you needed to sell your house too. And he's like, Chris. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, Chris still to this day has not sold his house. 5 years later. Yeah. No joke. Chris is still living in that large, oversized home that they raised their family in, that they wanted to downsize from 5 years ago. There's been nothing but reasons why not to. It's no different than anything else. Why should you, before you start to evaluate why you shouldn't? I mean, we're looking to buy right now. And in this market, with these interest rates, with the impact that it's had on the market and the community, what I have seen in the houses that I've looked at is either A, they've come down to the price that they should have been at the beginning. And don't tell me that you know the price that it should have been. You're not a real estate specialist. Christian is. right? Like
Okay.
you might have an understanding and you might say, hey, I feel like that $540,000 house is a little bit overpriced. What do you think? And Christian might say, well, I really feel like it would be more marketably priced at 530, but at 540, blah, 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 blah. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the person that should be at 530 that listed for 599, right? We're not even, this is a big difference. Yeah. I've seen houses come from 599 to 530 because it's where they should have been priced. I've also seen houses sell in the same amount of time with less competition. So we're saying 3, 7, 12, 15 days, but less competition. One buyer, no real negotiation, just putting two people in the room that are going to build an opportunity to buy and sell the house together. And the other thing that I'm seeing is I'm seeing people get more realistic about what they can afford. And I think that that is where we need to focus is like,
that's a big one.
Today's market is not so much about, high interest rates, crazy prices, the market's crazy. I need to make 15 offers. Oh my God. It's more about like, what can you afford and how can we be intelligent about it? Heather was talking to me this morning about a buyer that she's working with that's looking at property that's $5,000 over their capacity to begin with. It's like,
and you're not even taking in all the expenses, the maintenance and everything that's going to cost you.
Exactly. And it's like, guys, maybe we should be having the conversation about affordability because as the interest rates are fluctuating, I remember what I was going to tell you. As the interest rates are fluctuating, it's going to change your capacity to purchase. That $5,000 just became insurmountable with the interest rate that changed last week. Right. Or that $5,000 just became, completely negligible with your new raise. It's like we need to have those conversations about where our capacity is going. What I was going to tell you was about interest rates. 8 years ago today, I was working with a client, Tim Hall, who has vastly exceeded his physical fitness and I, but he and I were working out together, playing soccer together. Tim and I were friendly. Yeah. And he calls me and says, hey, I want to buy a house. So we're working right now, October-ish timeline. And the, presidential election was coming up and the crazy things in the world were going on and interest rates were like, 3.6 and a quarter. I don't know. It was like nothing. Yeah. And Tim was like feeling really good about it, super excited. We started looking at some property and then lo and behold, we go under contract, like let's just say November 4th. Now, right around that timeline is election day. Yeah, and Tim had not yet fully applied for his mortgage financing according to the contract. Tim had not yet locked in his interest rate according to the contract. Tim had not yet made any definitive moves, but he knew what he expected based on the conversations that we had had. And all these people are here today saying, new president's going to come in, their administration, and the interest rates are going to do. Like they know what's going to happen. Right. Tim went under contract, had a conversation on like, let's just say Monday night. Banks close on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, he calls his mortgage lender to move forward with the process. Something happened. The mortgage lender did not lock in the interest rate that they had talked about on Monday night. Election day happens on Tuesday. No knocking President Trump. Trump got elected on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, the interest rate skyrocketed. And here we have people that are like, interest rates are going to come down. Well, what do you think? Are they going to come down in a day, a week, a month, a year? Yeah. But like, in Tim's case, his monthly payment went up like $350. They skyrocketed. And he was like, what do you mean you didn't lock in 2 days ago? Yeah. And we have people here today that are like, interest rates are going to go down. Well, how can you be so sure? Yeah. How can you be so sure when something can change the world, like a random attack on a not innocent, but innocent country on a Saturday, on a holiday, it changes the world. It's not an expected thing. Right. Interest rates are going to go down when the Hamas attacks Israel. Like, come on. Yeah. Well, interest rates are going to go down when Japan attacks China. Yeah, that might happen. But like, when is Japan attacking China? Right. Or when is North Korea attacking South Korea? Or when is the president going to get, something great happen to them or something awful happen to them? Or, the president's dog bit somebody again.
People are just
it's like how do you impact
people
those
are
things?
Like waiting for this unknown opportunity instead of just creating an opportunity.
I agree. That's my emotion right there.
Yeah.
People are waiting for the opportunity instead of creating the opportunity. I'm writing it down. Say it again. Say it again.
People are waiting for an opportunity instead of creating the opportunity.
Love it.
Bang. On that note, Mike did mention that we went to the trolley tour. We had a table at the event. It was amazing. Live Baltimore. You are the shit. You're amazing. I love it. we are doing a little AirPod giveaway. So we had a game there that you had to guess the average monthly rent and the average monthly mortgage. And Mike, do you know what the average monthly rent and mortgage is in?
Oh, I actually don't. I'm going to play this game too. Average monthly rent in the city and average monthly mortgage in the city. We're skewed, mind you, because we have very, very high and very, very low. I'm going to say monthly rent. I'm going to say 1,1600.
You're close.
Okay.
What's the average?
Is it higher or lower?
You're right.
Oh, it's 1550.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm about it. And the average mortgage, like 1,100.
You're pretty close.
What is it?
1,200.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I was really close.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm really high or really low. So, average monthly rent was $1,550. Average mortgage was $1,200, and that's in the city of Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting.
So our winner for the AirPods is Deborah Parker.
Deborah!
Gang.
Woo!
Woo!
I don't know where our crickets are. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead,
Thank you
Deborah.
so much. Congratulations. We'll be reaching out to you shortly. Again, Live Baltimore, thank you so much for hosting the Charlie Tour, this amazing event. Thank you for the opportunity to be out there and be in front of the community, meet a whole bunch of great people. Mike, I don't know.
Yeah, no kidding. The team at Live Baltimore, Annie, Misty, Jasmine, Jordan, everybody over there does so much, and they commit so much of their time and their energy for what the city is really standing for, which is making homeownership possible. There's so much going on in Baltimore City, grant programs, guided opportunities for investors, people looking to buy into Baltimore. Millions and millions and millions of dollars have been put into Baltimore in the form of low income housing. For anybody that's thinking about developing large scale housing, I think it's something like 15 units and greater, millions of dollars of grant opportunity. There's so much goodness going on. Live Baltimore is the resource where you should start. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us, but they're a great resource. And they did do the Trolley Tour $5,000 grant giveaway. If you guys haven't already, you have another.
Is it 10 days? Well, no, 10 days from the event.
It's like,
12?
No, it's like 13 days from today. It's next Friday.
Okay.
So next Friday is the drawing. 25 lottery winners will win $5,000 of forgivable grant funds, which means that you get $5,000 for free for your primary residence when you buy in Baltimore, having completed all of the necessary prerequisites. It's a really cool opportunity, and it's something that you could take advantage of 3 times a year. Our next one is February 6th-ish. Somewhere right in that window.
We'll keep you posted on the date. We'll look it up.
But yeah, reach out to us if you ever need anything. You can always reach me on Instagram at MichaelFrank ____ on our website at frankoliverco.com.
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead. Nice and simple.
Bang. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.